All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thanks a lot for checking out this latest OET All-Star session. My name's Scott. I'm an expert OET teacher and managing director of Swoosh English, one of OET's premium preparation providers and OET All-Stars. And it's a pleasure having you guys here again today. It's been a month since our last session. I look forward to helping out some of you guys with your OET speaking today. So just a few house rules before we begin. Make sure, of course, that you have ideally a pen and a notepad. I've got my little OET notepad here with me, as I want you guys to be interactive in today's session. There will be some mock speaking coming up today. So that means you're going to have a notepad and a pen to take down some notes. If you are, of course, taking part in today's session with mock speaking, or you are listening to other people do their speaking, taking notes on their feedback and reflecting upon your own speaking practice today as well. So that's great. Of course, please send in your comments saying hello in the chat. We look forward to meeting everyone here today. So say hello, say where you're from as well. And yeah, just give us a nice greeting. And I'll bring a few comments up on the screen. We got Anu has said, good afternoon, sir. Anu, I take it's the afternoon for you. It's currently the morning for me, which of course is very nice. Welcome, Anna. And we've got San today. I say, good afternoon. I'm from Myanmar. Well, hello, San from Myanmar. And thanks a lot for coming on board today. Hope that you enjoy the class. Over on the OET channels of Facebook and YouTube, I can't actually bring those comments up on screen, but quite a lot of people saying hello today as well. We've got a few candidates from Dubai, Pakistan, Nigeria, Nepal, Delhi are coming in as well. So welcome to everyone over there on the OET YouTube channel. Please follow along. We'll be getting you guys involved in the session as well. Fantastic, guys. All right. Well, without further ado, we've got one more person who's joined us today. Said, hello, Scott. I am from Sudan. Well, welcome to you, my friend, as well, for joining in the session today. Okay, guys, follow along. We got a great session coming up. If you're enjoying the session so far, make sure you give us a like, make sure you give us a comment, and make sure you're following us on our Facebook and YouTube channels here at Swoosh English. So let's get stuck into today's session, OET All-Stars with myself, Scott. All right, guys. So what's going to be happening in today's session? Well, as mentioned at the beginning, we're going to be doing some live speaking role plays today. So you can take part in or listen to a live speaking role play. Now, my caveat is that there's probably hundreds of people in this session today, and I can't actually test everyone. But if you like what you're seeing today, well, then make sure you come and check us out at Swoosh English to see how you can get more live speaking feedback from expert teachers like me to help you with your OET practice. And of course, while you are taking part or listening to the OET feedback today, and make sure you're, of course, reflecting upon the own feedback that's happening and think about how you can use that to improve your own speaking today. So the advice that I'm going to give as part of the role plays, you can take away and use that yourself in your own practice. And also, don't be afraid to give some of your own feedback as well. So just before we get stuck into the session, Swoosh English right now, I'll explain more at the end of the session. So stay until the very end, guys, about 45 minutes. But we are currently doing a promotion in which we're offering 20% off selected OET courses. So if you want to know more about how you can get 20% off your an OET preparation course with an OET premium preparation provider and OET All-Star, that's us at Swoosh, then make sure you stay until the very end to find out more. There will be a link coming in to the chat later on in the session today, and I will be displaying that barcode so you can scan that with your phone, go directly to our pages if you're thinking about taking the next steps for effective OET preparation. That is joining Swoosh, an OET, PPP, or OET All-Star. All right, let's get stuck into the session. And as I said, before we do get stuck in, I love just knowing more about you guys today. What's your story with OET? When are you taking it, etc.? So the first question I have is, let me know in the chat, guys, when do you plan to take your OET exam? So in the chat, let me know, when do you plan to take your OET exam? Have you booked it already? Is it coming up this weekend? Is it coming up in a week's time? Is it coming up in 2 weeks' time? A month's time? Let me know when you plan to take your exam. Lovely. So Anu is taking her exam on the 2nd of September. That's a week away, Anu. Hope you're feeling prepared and ready to go. We have Ashanti. You said, I'm planning to take it next year. So you've got plenty of preparation time, Ashanti, relaxing into it, which of course is what I recommend. Everyone does is you only book the exam when you are ready. Okay. So a few other comments coming through on the YouTube channel. Some candidates are saying they're taking their exam next week, in a month's time, in 2 months' time. We got candidate taking it. Yep, this month, next month, 2 months' time, 3 months' time as well. Some are saying next year, and some are saying that they haven't booked it yet. But a lot of you have your exam, for what I can see coming through the chat, within 1 month. And that's why preparation for 1 month time of OET is key to you making sure that you do actually get that pass. So please keep that in mind, guys. Thank you very much for your answers as well. Okay. Tandy has said, I will take mine when I am ready. Fantastic, Tandy. Great advice. Only book your exam when you are ready and prepare appropriately. Thanks for your answer to that question. I'm going the wrong way in the presentation. My next question is really, what's motivating you guys? And I love asking this question because I want to know why everyone is going through these steps to become a healthcare professional in an native English speaking country, which one reason is why you're taking the OET for. So let me know, guys, what is your dream of taking the OET, going through the steps, and what happens at the very end? Why are you doing all of this? Let me know in the chat box, guys, please, why you're taking this exam and what you want to get out of it at the very end. So let me know, guys. What is your dream once you have passed your OET exam? Still having some comments coming in about when the exam is coming, guys. You're a very interactive bunch today. I really do appreciate it. So let me know. So we got some candidates saying, I'm taking my exam because I want to work in the UK. A lot of you are looking to work in the UK. We got Iqbal has said, I want to get residency in the USA, moving to the UK to practice for continued professional development, to see my family over there, for just becoming a doctor in my dream country, etc., etc. So all of these comments are really, really nice. Someone's even said, dream of a better life. GMC registration to do a fellowship program for greener pastures. Okay. Thanks, guys. So the reason why I actually asked this, we've got a few more coming in here. 10 days said better job opportunities, and Sana said to go to the UK as a nurse. Brilliant. So, guys, the reason why I asked this question, I'm going to go full screen for this. The reason why I asked this question is because I want you to keep your reason for doing this exam and going through all of the steps and the sacrifices you're probably making in your life right now to find time to prepare for this exam and pass this exam. I want you to keep that at the forefront of your mind because it is super, super, super important to keep yourself motivated for the positive reasons that you are doing this exam, because passing OET, moving to your dream country and changing your life will be an amazing experience. Keep that at the forefront. Everyone can pass this exam and make that big leap to your dream country with the right mindset, the right approach, the right support. But it's over to you to make it happen. But ultimately, guys, it's very exciting for someone who's lived overseas for many years. That's why I'm teaching English now. I'm helping candidates pass the OET exam because I've done it all before, and it is an amazing transformational experience, guys. So just please keep that in mind. It's all for the greater good. So thanks, guys, for the comments. Let's now just kind of get stuck in to this session today. I love your interaction. I loved your comments. So I've got one quick question before we get into the mock speaking practice today, and I want to kind of assess what you guys know about OET speaking at this point. So it's no surprise that there are 2 sets of criteria for OET speaking. Can you let me know in the chat box, what are they? What are the 2 sets of criteria for OET speaking, guys? Let me know in the chat box. So I'm sure many of you will know of these already a lot. Maybe some of you, of course, are only beginning your OET preparation and you're only starting to get familiar with your exam at this point. So this is a great starting point for everyone. But also, I'm going to remind people in a minute about why it's really important to know this criteria like, I guess, the back of your hand. If you look at your hand a lot, you should know it quite well, right? So I've got some comments coming in. Everyone's saying pretty much the same thing. That is fantastic. Good. So I'm going to bring up one answer from Devadev, who has said linguistic criteria and communicative criteria. Allah has expanded upon that a little bit more by saying linguistic and clinical communication criteria. It's great, guys. You've all got the answer correct. And that answer is linguistic and clinical communication criteria. So there are two sets of criteria that you need to direct your speaking towards to satisfy the marks as high as possible. Okay, so I'm not going to go into the sub-criteria of linguistic and clinical communication. What I'm going to do today is try to digest it a bit more by asking yourselves questions that you think you can satisfy in your OET speaking. And if you can satisfy these questions, you're likely going to score quite well in the different kinds of criteria. Now, of course, I recommend in your OET prep that you do learn those sub-criteria within linguistic and clinical communication. It's very important, but we don't want to go into that detail too much today because I could spend hours talking about that. We only have a short amount of time. So what I've done right now is I've taken the linguistic criteria and the clinical communication criteria, and I formed 5 questions for each. These 5 questions are going to form my assessment of your speaking abilities today if you're doing some role plays. So let's go through these questions one by one. The first question is, where are you able to speak clearly and easy to understand? Your intonation and your pronunciation and your pacing. Could I understand what you were saying? Question 2, did you vary your pronunciation and intonation relevantly? So did you express yourself in a ways that able to communicate more effectively? You weren't speaking flatly, you were pacing yourself, and you were accurately pronouncing the various sounds in English. Okay. Question 3, did the speaker speak fluently and smoothly with few hesitations and false starts? That's your fluency. Think about your language. You're able to produce sentences with minimal breaks or interruptions, okay? So few hesitations means not stopping before you speak. False starts is when you say a word and maybe say it again and then rephrase your sentence, for example. Those sort of things. Now, I want to tell you that you don't have to speak perfectly for getting your passing grade for OET. Just keep that in mind, guys. You don't have to speak perfectly. Hesitations, false starts, and other things that affect your fluency are permitted because guess what? Even native English speakers like me who teach English, shall we say, aren't perfect. We make lots of mistakes. So you don't have to be perfect, but we do have to get you to a suitable level. And I'll reflect that today in your OET speaking practice. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Question 4 was, did the speaker use appropriate language and tone? AKA, did you sound suitably like a healthcare professional, but did you also make your language accessible to the listener? You don't want to be too formal and too stuffy, shall you say. You want to also speak in some layman terms. So have a degree of authority, but also to communicate effectively to the lay people, as you call patients, for example. And then question 5 is, did the speaker use relevant and correct vocabulary and grammatical structures? Okay. So rule of thumb is that vocabulary for medical terms, you want to minimize that medical jargon. You want to simplify that as best as possible. This is not a test of how well you know your medical jargon. That is not what OET is about. It is about communicating effectively to the patient. Now, many patients don't know a lot about all the medical jargon that you medical professionals have spent years studying at university and on your wards and on your clinics. We don't know those sort of things. So think about ways to simplify that jargon and make it accessible to the patient. Likewise, grammatical structures, it's really about your range and how you communicate that. You want to speak in a way that is suitably complicated to get your message across to the candidate. You don't want to overcomplicate your grammar. You don't want to use advanced grammatical structures in a way that are one, incorrect, or two, doesn't really communicate well with the audience. It's maybe laden with mistakes, for example. So where is that balance? Can you use the right amount of complicated grammatical structures, but also utilize a lot of simple structures to, guess what, effectively convey your message to the patient? So please keep that in mind when you're doing your own OET speaking practice. Okay. Now let's move on to the clinical communication questions. The first question I have today is, did you speak in a way that offered empathy and support? Did you listen to the patient effectively? Did you understand their concerns? Did you address them? Did you speak about them? Okay. Empathy is a really important part of Western healthcare, shall we say, and OET want to see you demonstrate that empathy in this test because it is required for you when you get your dream job elsewhere in the world. Question 2 is, did you speak to the patient? Sorry, did you listen to the patient and respond effectively and appropriately? So are you engaging what's called active listening? Okay. Are you using little phrases like, okay, I see, I understand, while you're listening? Do you mirror what the patient has back to you very quickly, aka what they've said? Can you regurgitate that in a few short words and show that you've listened to the patient and then respond elsewhere? Okay. Question 3, was the delivery information structured appropriately? Okay. So you've got 5 minutes, obviously, in your role play to formulate how it all works. My top tip for this is to just keep the role play going through bullet point after bullet point. Some candidates make it overly complicated and they change the order of the bullet points, which is just making it far too complicated. Because guess what? The OET role play is designed to flow from A to B. Okay. Go through each bullet point in order. No, work out roughly how many bullet points there are, your intro and your outro, how much time you should spend on each bullet point as well, and then flow through in an order. Okay. What I've seen in my time as an OET assessor is that many candidates overestimate how much time they have. Oh, sorry, underestimate how much time they have. They underestimate how much time they have. So keep your responses short for each section and know when to move on, because many candidates spend about 6, 7, sometimes 8 minutes on a role play because they haven't managed their time appropriately. Okay. So make sure that you are going nice and quickly through each bullet point. Question 4, did the speaker ask a variety of open and closed questions? So questions, questions, questions. You should be commanding this role play, leading it, and leading it with a lot of questions. Open questions are the ones that have an open answer. Okay, it's not a yes-no answer. They can speak freely about it. But the closed questions involve a yes, no, or a very short answer. And they're used to clarify the information that has been given, as well as to check for understanding. How was this for you today? Are you okay about this? How do you feel about this? Those questions are important to demonstrate empathy and support as well. Then finally, question 5, was the patient satisfied with the delivery of information? That's just really an assessment from me. If I was a patient today to you, would I be happy with how the role play went? And that's just me summarizing all the information that I have seen so far. And that's really just a bonus. How was your overall performance in the role play today? So keep all of those things in mind, guys. All right. So without further ado, it's time for a speaking role play. First and foremost, before we begin today, guys, this is how it's going to work. Firstly, get a notepad and a pen or something to write down some notes on, because you will be going through a live role play practice today, regardless if you speak or not. What's going to happen now in a second as well, guys, is that a link is going to appear on the screen, or it's going to appear in the chat thread that you're currently on. So on the Facebook or YouTube thread that you are on, a link will appear. It's easier if you click the link. Otherwise, you have to type it out from the screen, which can be done as a backup. So click in that link and that will bring you into the classroom with me today. When you're in the classroom, I'm going to pick a candidate once the preparation time is up, and then you will join me for a role play today in the class. So What makes me choose a candidate who I want to engage with today? Of course, one is as much as possible a steady internet connection. It's really important that the role play goes ahead uninterrupted. So, obviously, do what you can to ensure your internet is nice and steady. Move closer to a router, etc. A working in good quality microphone, or at least a quiet environment, is great as well, with minimal interruptions. A camera. So if you've got a camera, please turn your camera on. It makes for a much more effective session if I can engage with you and you can engage with me as well. And of course, someone who looks like they're ready to do the OET roleplay and engage in the session today. That is also really important. Okay, guys. So in a moment, I'm going to drop this link in to this session. Just give me a second. The link is going to come in a minute. Once that link comes in to the chat box, then we are going to engage in a session. And just so you know, this first role play today are for our nursing candidates. So nursing candidates for this first role play, please keep that in mind. Okay, so the link has been dropped in to the chat. All right. And it's also going into the YouTube chat on OET's page as well. Just keep in mind that that link may not appear in the YouTube chat. So here is the backup, guys. If you can't come in from the YouTube channel, what we're going to do is I'm going to display the link on the screen. So here is the link. It's a bit long, I'm sorry, but please click on that link and bring it in to type out the link. You can come into the session today. So I will leave that on screen for a moment. Please take a note of it, and then we will join in the session in a minute. Okay, guys, so are you ready? Let me know in the chat box. Are you ready to start your OET role play preparation? Let me know in the chat box. Say yes or no. Hopefully, you're going to say yes. But the 3 minutes of preparation time for role play number 1 is going to begin in a little minutes. So here we go, guys. Role play number 1. You have 3 minutes to prepare. I'm going to turn off my microphone, turn off my camera, turn off my voice. Give you time, guys, some time to reflect and prepare. Good luck, and I hope to see you all in a moment. Three, two, and one, guys. All right, there we go. 3 minutes of preparation time is up. Can you believe it? Okay, so let's get stuck into the role play then. We've got a few people that have decided to join us today. That is fantastic. So I'm going to see who will be our first OET role play practitioner today. I'm going to give Maria a chance to join the role play today. So, Maria, I'm going to turn on your camera, not your camera, sorry. I'm going to bring you into the studio in a second. Once you're in, we can have a little conversation before we start the role play. So, Maria, I'm going to add you to the stream now. Hello, Maria. Can you turn on your microphone? Can you say hello?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Maria. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How about you?
I'm very well. I'm very well too. Thanks a lot for joining us. Sorry, I've obviously brought you on in the middle of the night, possibly. What time is it with you, and where are you from?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm hearing echo.
So maybe if you turn off your audio on the stream that you're watching. So if you're watching the stream on Facebook and YouTube, you turn off the audio there. Then the audio will only come through here.
Okay, there.
There you
Thank
go.
you. First time.
I've learned that many a time because I've got the Facebook live, I've got the YouTube live on as well, and sometimes I hear my voice 3 times, and it's very scary. Right.
Yeah, it is.
So Maria, thank you very much for joining us. Where are you from?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm already here in California. I just moved 2 months ago, and yeah, I joined Swoosh English. This is going to be my first time to take the OET next month.
Fantastic. Well, thanks a lot for being one of our students, Maria. And you're taking your OET first time next month.
Yes.
How are you feeling about your exam?
Oh gosh. It's a bit nerve-wracking.
Of course, of course. But as everyone says, if there's any importance in the world, if it doesn't scare you, you shouldn't be doing it. Anyone, no matter how well prepared they are for this exam, will have a degree of fear. So as long as you are doing the right thing by engaging with a premium preparation provider or All-Star, thanks for choosing Swoosh, that is the best first steps that you're doing for preparation for this exam. So well done. What are you planning to do once you pass your OET exam?
Um, well, I will be using the OET result for the renewal of my visa screen.
Your visa screening. So you're looking to work in California?
Yeah, I'll be starting next month.
Lovely. Very good. Well, let's give you some speaking practice today that's going to help you with your big OET exam in a month's time. So I'll just bring up, Maria, the role play card again. The role play will run for about 5 minutes. If you go over a little bit, that's not a problem, but I will obviously stop it if it goes much longer. So make sure you keep those answers nice and concise. But the rule of thumb I have today, Maria, is just enjoy this session as much as you can. Really just enjoy it, relax, think about learning how to drive a car. Just enjoy the experience today as best as you can. Take a deep breath and relax as much as you can as well. Are you ready?
I'll try.
That's a good answer. Trying is better than not trying. Okay, so you've got this. You're really confident. You've got this. That's what I say. All right. So whenever you start speaking, I will start the timer, and we'll just go through the role play as naturally as we can. And I'll take down some notes while I'm doing your assessment. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Over to you, Maria.
Right.
Just begin, and we will start.
Hello, good morning. My name is Maria. I'm one of the nurses here in the clinic. And how are you today?
Hi, thanks, Maria. Thanks so much for seeing me today. I'm feeling a bit stressed about the need for insulin injections, to be honest, and hopefully you can help me here today.
I understand how you feel, but I can see from the notes of the doctor that you've been doing your diabetes control very well in the past months, but recently it has starting to increase. Is there any change in your in your diet or in your
And I
planning?
don't, I don't think so, Nurse Maria. I've managed my diabetes well with diet and tablets in my life, and the
Mm-hmm.
doctor obviously said he wants me to start taking insulin injections, and I don't know understand why I have to take insulin injections. I thought everything was fine. Also, I just the thought of putting a needle in me is really scary. I don't know what to do.
I'd be scary too. Okay. And have you had trying to, or have you seen anyone um, doing the injection or self injection, self
No,
administering of the insulin?
not at all. It
Not
scares
at
me.
all?
I need some
Mm-hmm.
help and support with this to see how it's done right.
Okay. Okay. I feel ya. Okay. What I will do today is I will teach you how to properly administer the insulin injection and how are how is it going to and its proper administration, the disposal of the needles, and
Mhm.
also the proper storing of your medication. And let's not forget the injection sites. Would you like me to show you first?
Please, nurse. Thank you.
Okay. First, we have different parts of our body that we can use to be the sites or the preferred sites of injection for insulin.
Mhm.
And it can be at the back of the arm, on our belly, and in our thigh. But first things first to remember is to clean it with in disinfecting wipes, let it dry, and administer your injection, your insulin.
Mhm.
Okay. And when administering the injection, you just need to pinch your skin if it's in the belly. Just remember, it's at least
Mhm.
1 inch. I mean, from the belly button, and then pinch the skin and
Mhm.
hold your pen, insulin pen upright. Okay, and slowly administer the injection. And you count up to 10 and you rest. Try to release your thumb from the pen and remove the needle. For safe disposal of the needles, you make sure, and the clinic will also provide you a sharps container wherein you will dispose all your needle injections
Mhm.
and also the lancets where you check your blood sugar. And how do you feel about that so
Well,
far?
thank you for explaining the process. I didn't know the process before. I think now I just got to start practicing this bit by bit, which would help.
Yes.
Thank you for that, nurse. Now, my other question is I'm just not sure why I have to start taking insulin injections. I thought that my
Okay.
diabetes was being monitored effectively by my diet and my exercise. Can you explain more to
Yeah.
me why I have to take insulin injections now?
Okay. There are times that, sorry, with your diet and oral medication, it can be controlled, but and in due time, like at least every 3 months, your doctor checks your blood sugar, which is called the glycosylated hemoglobin. It is the sugar control monitoring standard, or I would say,
Mhm.
yeah, standard, wherein
Mhm.
it checks how well how you control your sugars in the past 3 months. It's how
Mhm.
it is how the blood sugar is binding to your to the bloodstream. And with that, if that is increased, then it means it's either something has changed, or the medication, the oral pills that you are taking, is not working effectively for you. So that's why the doctor would like to try to do the insulin if
Mm-hmm.
that insulin, it works better in controlling your blood sugar.
Okay.
Oh, is that too much information from you?
It's not too much information, nurse. It's just I see why I have to now take this, and I just have to get used to that fact. So
Yes, I understand. And
that's
with
okay.
constant practice, or with constant doing it to yourself, then you'll get confident. And of course, before you leave the clinic, I will
Mhm.
let you practice in our dummy to
Thank you.
see if you have understand it well.
That would be great. Thank you very much for your explanation,
You're
and
welcome.
thank you for explaining why I have to get used to this fact, and I'll cooperate,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah, that's nice.
Okay. Well, thank you very
Okay.
much. Thank you very much, Nurse Maria, for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. And if ever you have any other questions, don't forget or do not hesitate to call the clinic. And you have my number.
Thank you very much, Nurse. Much appreciated today. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. You're welcome.
And we got time. There we go, Maria.
Oh my
Relax.
God. Oh, jeez.
How was it for you? How was that? How was your experience today, and how was your performance, you think?
Oh my God. My heart's beating so fast right now, and I'm
I,
shaking.
I can feel and hear your heart over in California from here. I can feel it. It's going to be there's going to be an earthquake registered, all the way over there. But in all seriousness, well done for taking the role play today. It's not a small ask to do that in front of hundreds of people live with a teacher
Yeah, I
today.
wasn't
Who,
expecting it.
well, you came into the session today, so there you go. Therefore, you put yourself in the position to be chosen. So let's go through some feedback, because I noticed when I ask candidates how they got on, they go into the negatives. Oh, I was nervous. I should have did that. I should have done this. And I think there's lots of positives to take away today. So I want to explain all the things that you did today, well, and a few improvements as well. So we're going to
Oh.
go through my framework of just asking a few questions to assess your
Mm-hmm.
performance as a whole. Okay. First of all, did you speak clearly and was easy to understand? Yes, you were. There's no
Mm.
problem at all with your tone, your intonation, your pronunciation, or your speed. You're very clearly understood. I didn't have to strain to understand what you were saying. So you're doing really well in that regard. Did you
Thank
vary
you.
your pronunciation and intonation relevantly? I think living in California has really helped you, to be honest, because you got a nice semi-native like inflection the way you speak, and I'm picking up on that. There might have been a couple of very minor pronunciation errors, but by minor I mean, oh, I knew what she said. That's fine. Major would be, sorry, what were you saying? It actually impeded my understanding. So nothing
Mm-hmm.
regarding there. Just make sure, of course, that you are continuing to demonstrate, your question rises and question falls. When
Mm-hmm.
you're finishing a question, when you're finishing a sentence, your intonation falls. When you're asking a question, your intonation rises. Things like that. Just make sure you're aware of those. And of course, your Swoosh course will go through those in our lessons. Question 3. Did you speak fluently and smoothly with few hesitations and false starts?
I think I have a lot.
A lot. Oh no, I think you did pretty well. I think, of course,
Oh,
there were some hesitations, but was it because you were searching for the language, or you were just thinking about how do I organize what I say next? Let me know what's your answer to that.
um, I was trying to like think of a word that would the patient or
Mm-hmm.
the other party can understand me in a layman's term. I feel like I'm being medical. I'm using the jargon.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
So you were searching for the right medical jargon to simplify, which is
to
different to
simplify.
thinking how you like translating in your head, thinking about how do I say this next in English. That's very different. So
Mm-hmm.
I think you're doing quite well. Of course, there were some ahs and ums and longer pauses than normal. But if you focus on just your ways to, I think you organize what you're saying and you find ways with much more practice to simplify your medical language, do lots of role play practice, you'll come across a lot of the phrases and words you have to use. That will improve your 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 fluency. And as you say, like
Mm-hmm.
even I make mistakes with fluency. I have to think what I'm saying sometimes as well, of course. So I think it was mostly an organizational piece versus a fluency piece in terms of your English ability. So just keep that in mind. But well done.
Mm-hmm.
Did you use appropriate language and tone? I thought so. But one thing I'll say is when you were going through the steps of the injection, I thought there were some large, complicated phrases there. I think you could have simplified that process a bit more. I'll get into
Mm-hmm.
more about that in a second in the clinical communication criteria. And 5, did you speak and use relevant and correct vocabulary and grammatical structures? There were some errors there, using past simple versus past perfect, etc., etc. But they were minor, didn't really impede my understanding. Okay. Of course, you should aim to practice your spoken grammar and structures as well as possible. And my emphasis would be just to keep it simpler than more complicated than
Mm-hmm.
usual as well.
Okay.
Your teachers in your class will, of course, will pinpoint in your speaking practice that you do. They will pinpoint any of the major grammatical or vocabulary structures that you're doing. And if they see patterns with that, they'll, of course, pick up. But I didn't see anything that I thought wouldn't be of what was required. So well done with that. We'll move now into the clinical communication criteria. First question is, did you speak in a way that offered empathy and support? Yes, but it wasn't sustained, was my answer. So I think that when you asked the first question about me and how I felt fearful, he goes, I understand, I feel you. I like the phrase I feel you, by the way. It might be a little bit informal. I feel you. Just to be aware. You can use that in the US when you're doing your job because lots of Americans will know I feel you. But for the sake of the role play, it's best maybe to use something that's not as informal or colloquial, as we'll say. Something like, I understand you. Oh, I hear what you're saying would be good. Okay.
Okay.
Keep that empathy sustained, because when I talked about how I wasn't sure the second time about the need for injections, you didn't really say, oh, I look, I'm sorry that you feel this way about this, and no doubt you are doing all the right things, but here's why we think you have to take these injections for the betterment of your health. Okay, is that okay? Keep that empathy sustained throughout the role play. Basically, every time the patient has a question or a concern or they're anxious about something, that's a perfect way for you to demonstrate an empathy with an empathetic phrase. So keep that sustained throughout the role play.
Okay.
Did you listen to the patient and respond effectively and appropriately? You didn't understand my concerns. You went through the questions. You answered as best as you could. But once again, just make sure, if you can, to get some more points in your OET role play speaking, is engage in a little bit more of active listening. So whenever I'm speaking, okay, I understand. Right, I got you. Things like that. And even if you can, very quickly repeat what I said in a nice, simple way. So if I said, I'm so anxious about this needle, you might say, I understand why you're anxious about this injection. Repeat what I said back very quickly, and then go on to what's being said next. So just keep that those little phrases in your mind, those little things in your role play practice as you refine things better. And number 3, was the delivery of information structured appropriately? That's the one area that I want you to focus on, Maria. Okay. So if I actually go back to the role play card, what you should have done, hold on a second, sorry. Bullet point number 4 was emphasizing the importance of safe and needle disposal. You maybe should have waited for me to ask about that.
I see.
Because I wasn't really concerned about how to dispose needle. I was concerned about putting it in me somewhere. I'm like, what do I do? Where does this needle go? So maybe giving more, because you were speaking for quite a long time about the needle injection section. I think you probably could have broken that up a bit more by asking, is this okay so far for you? Am I explaining this correctly? Do you know how to dispose of needles at the very end? Oh, no, I don't. Let me explain that quickly. Okay. So we want to try and avoid speaking for a long chunk of time when you're doing these role plays. Okay. You want to get the patient involved more. All right. The reason why is because it is a dialogue. It should be a conversation. And two, people will listen more when they don't have to listen for a long time. Plus, it gives you more chances to ask those important questions, which is gathering and giving information, are two of the OET criteria for clinical communication. So break down long areas of speech that you might have to give. For example, giving instructions on injecting myself. I thought that you could have probably broken that down a bit more by asking some closed questions. How's this for you so far? Is this okay for you yet? And also, if you can, this will help you with your grammar and your structures. Use some linking devices throughout. So firstly, we're going to, then you have to, after that, finally. Phrases like that. So use some of those in your practice. And of course, these things might not come naturally to you, at least now. You're aware how to use them, but keep them in mind consciously when you're doing your OET role play practice. You won't be practicing all of these in a single role play because it might be overwhelming. All of these things you have to think about. But maybe take a role play and think, today's role play, I'm going to put emphasis on my linking structures. I'm going to make sure I do that. In the next role play I'm going to put emphasis on asking some more closed questions. Okay. Rinse and repeat, ideally with feedback, and that will improve things overall.
I'll take note on that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Finally, would just be regarding the delivery of information is your time management needs to also be aware. And as I said, many students speak for too long versus too short. And your role play clocked in at, have a guess how long it was today.
More than 5 minutes.
Yes, you're right. It was more than 5 minutes.
My clock stopped.
It was about seven minutes.
Oh gosh, that's slow.
Just something to be aware of.
Yeah, that woke me up.
About 90% of students I've assessed go over the time. Very few go under the time. So just be aware that you have to be really concise with each section. You have to roughly know, okay, I've got 4 bullet points here. I've got my intro. I've got my outro. How much time do I have for each section? That's 6 sections, 5 minutes. That's less than 1 minute per bullet point.
Okay.
You've got to be very aware of that and keep things concise. So let's try and get that down to approximately 5 minutes. And just so you know, and everyone else who's watching today, by the way, the OET role plays aren't strictly 5 minutes. They're not. So if you are on the closing section of your role play around 5 minutes, you can keep going. But if it looks like you're about halfway through your role play and 5 minutes is up, then you may be stopped. Okay. And what we want to see in that time is your ability to demonstrate all of the criteria. Because if you can't, then you won't necessarily score the marks that you have. So Maria, that's the same for yourself. Time management is really important. We'll just go through 4 and 5 quickly. Did the speaker offer in a way that offered a variety of open and closed questions? More questions, both open and closed. So more questions are such as closed questions of, how was that for you today? Is it okay for you? Are you? How's this information for you? Well, that's okay. That's fine. And more open questions to ask me some of the bullet point factors. Finally, was I satisfied? I think I was. Maria, I think that you give all the information that I needed. You explained the need for appropriate insulin injections, safe needle disposals, and gave obviously the very medical reasons why I have to take these injections. Maybe injecting a bit more empathy and personality into it. I know you have that. I can see it. Obviously, when you're in a role play scenario, you're being assessed, you get very tense and stiff, and maybe you lose some of that. And That just comes in more practice, just to be so familiar with the testing format that you can be yourself. That just comes with more practice. Okay. So key takeaways, Marie, I have for you today would be to manage your time, break down large structures of speech by asking more questions, think about your linking devices, and try and demonstrate more empathy throughout it.
Yeah.
And then just with more practice, breathe, loosen up, as much as possible. There will always be some stress in this scenario, okay? The more that you can loosen up in the day and feel relaxed, the better your performance will be.
Okay.
But you're doing lots of things really well. You're doing lots of things really well. And with the right approaches from today, I like to think you would be test ready within 1 month.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any final comments or questions to me?
If I go beyond 5 minutes, will the speaker or will the assessor will say or will cut me off, like 5 minutes is up or something?
Right. Good question. As I mentioned there, it depends where you are in the role play. If you're finalizing the role play, like you've gone through all the bullet points, you've just given your final closure, then the assessor will go, okay, some more seconds are fine. But if you are maybe halfway through your role play and there's still another half to go, the 5 minutes up, they'll have to cut off eventually.
Okay.
So I don't think there's any reason to think that's going to happen to you, Maria, because it wasn't super long, and now you're aware of your practice. You're aware about what you have to change, so you're going to go through the 5 minutes effectively on the day.
Okay.
Thank
you.
You're very welcome.
Sorry, others were not given chance. Sorry, guys.
You're okay, Maria. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you for your time too.
You're very welcome. And continue with your studies. You've got this in a month's time. We're rooting for you at Swoosh, and so is everyone else today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, Maria. Thank you very much for joining us today. All right, guys. And that was Maria doing a nursing role play practice. So let us know in the chat box how you think Maria got on. Reflect on your own speaking practice today as well. What lessons have you learned today about pacing, about structuring your role play, about asking appropriate questions, about demonstrating empathy, etc., etc. Let us know today how you think she got on, and have a think to yourself. Write down, what have I learned from today's role play with Maria? How can I put that into place in my own OET speaking practice? Am I speaking more than 5 minutes? Do I have to be more mindful of my time, etc., etc.? Let us know in the chat box today. So, guys, let's just recap this session very, very quickly before we finish, because we are unfortunately out of time. The role play was long, but let's recap the really important things. And please stick around for another couple of minutes because I got something very special I want to show everyone. So, review of today's session. Make sure you get the role play off to a really good start. Tip 2, practice speaking at appropriate speed, not too fast and not too slow. Tip 3, correct an error quickly, but place more importance on maintaining speech. Fluency is much more important than trying to be perfect with how you speak. Okay, you're not going to be perfect. No one is. So maintain your speech over trying to formulate grammatical perfection. Learn how to use discourse markers effectively, like first, after, next, then, finally, especially when giving long instructions. The power is in the pause. Number 5 is 1. The pause is important for giving information appropriately, and it also gives you more time to formulate your speech appropriately. So learn when to pause effectively and practice that so that you can do as well on the day of your exam. Tip 6, start your preparation well in advance of your exam. I can see lots of you today have got your exams coming up within the coming months. There's no better time than to start today for your preparation, because OET preparation does take time, often a bit longer than you may estimate. Okay. Tip number 7, of course, is to get expert feedback on your speaking, like what Maria got today from myself. We do that at Swoosh English. We give you the feedback that you need to succeed. Tip number 9, practice makes perfect. At first you don't succeed, Try, and try again, but make sure you are trying intelligently. You are improving each time that you try, and you are aware how you can improve. And the final tip I have for everyone today is believe in yourself and your abilities to pass the exam. I'll just go full screen for this a second, but just remember that there's always going to be a degree of self-doubt and fear in this process because you're putting yourself in an uncomfortable position. You've got an exam coming up in X amount of time. You have to perform well in this exam. You have to improve your skills for this exam, and it's dependent on your future. So there's a lot of pressure on you, okay? So make sure that you believe that you can do it. And everyone in this room today, the virtual room, shall I say, can pass this exam. If you believe it, you can make it happen, guys. So make sure you stay believing in yourself and you're going to ace the process. Also, listen to the appropriate advice in that process for you to achieve your dreams. That's really, really important, guys. So that's my number one tip, is to motivate all you guys today. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for coming along today. I'm going to finish off the session by saying, well, if you enjoyed this session today, you enjoyed the way we teach at Swoosh English, the feedback that we give, the support that we give, and you also value the importance of speaking feedback as well as writing, listening, reading as well, well, we are currently actually offering a 20% off discount on selected OET preparation courses. So there hasn't been a better time for you to join an OET premium preparation provider or OET All-Star in your preparation. So guys, if you're interested in taking part in some OET preparation, there are two ways that you can join us. First and foremost is there's going to be a link appearing in the chat, guys. So a link is appearing in the chat that will take you to our courses for you to look at and see which one suits you. Okay. The second option is maybe on YouTube, for example, the links might not appear. There's a big barcode down here on the screen, as you can see. Get your phone out, get your QR code reader on your phone if you have that app, scan that barcode, and the page will then appear on your phone. You can then follow through with the process, copy and paste that link into a computer if you want to look elsewhere. Okay, so two options, guys. There's the link in the chat. Click on that link, come on over and see how you can get 20% off our OET preparation courses, or get your QR code out on your phone, scan that barcode, come on over and have a look at our courses. Okay, if none of those options work for whatever reason, guys, the last option is you can give us an email at inquiries@swooshenglish.com. So send us an email to inquiries@swooshenglish.com if you can't join the link, you can't scan the QR code, or maybe you've got more questions that you want my team and I to answer here at Swoosh English about your preparation as a whole. So our team are waiting to take your inquiries about your OET prep. We'll give you lots of good advice, even if you don't sign up for us. So make sure, of course, that you give us a little email at inquiries@swooshenglish.com. And join an OET premium preparation provider. Join an OET All-Star and join a school that's got a 4.9 out of 5 grading on Trustpilot to get you the results that we want to get you. So guys, it's just about the hour. I'm going to take a couple of minutes right now. If anyone has any questions about any of this today, a couple of minutes. If you've got any quick questions that you want to ask me about anything OET speaking related or in general, throw your comments into the chat box and I will answer some of them here as a whole. So we got a few thank you messages. Hello, Jay. Thank you so much for coming today. Jade just said that you're one of my teachers. Thank you very much, Jade. I hope that you're enjoying your OET prep and you enjoyed today's session. And Tendi as well, you're very welcome. Thank you for joining me today. And thank you for your kind words as well, guys. So just waiting for those questions to come across, guys. I'll be very happy to answer any of them. And we got some YouTube questions coming in here today as well. Okay. So Latha has said, can you read our messages in the chat? Latha, this session will be ending very soon, but if you've got any more questions, Latha, about your OET preparation, you can see here on the screen, give our team an email at inquiries@swooshenglish.com. I'm also part of that process of answering your question, Latha. So if you have any more questions about your OET prep, give us an email at inquiries@swooshenglish.com. We'll pinpoint you towards the right resources that you need to pass your exam whenever you have it. Okay? So Ashiwara has said, do we need to say, may I coming or am I in the right home when the setup is a home visit? I don't think that's necessary, Ashiwara. We're going to assume that you are in the right home. So I don't think that's really necessary to ask. Just engage in the typical ways to start a role play and to engage with the patient, such as, thank you very much. I hope you're well. How are you feeling today? Okay, so I'm here today to, etc., etc. You don't need to ask, am I in the right home? Because I like to think you are in the right home. Hope you find that very, very useful and you find that to be a good answer. Okay. Desiree has asked, I need a speaking buddy. Desiree, give us an email at inquiries@swooshenglish.com and we'll sign you up with a Swoosh English speaking buddy who's with us at Swoosh. So come and join us, Desiree, at inquiries@swooshenglish.com. Give us an email and we'll get you matched with someone if you take a course or not with us. So give us an email and we can do that for you. Okay, Money Bayou says, should we use different types of sentences in both role plays in the exam? Only if you're comfortable with using a completely different structure or format that you can do effectively. My rule is you don't have to completely change the role play for number 2 than number 1, because the role plays, the examiner isn't going, oh, they used that last time, or they used that last time, or they used that last time. You know, just make sure that you're communicating effectively and satisfying the criteria as best as possible, Money Bayou. Give us an email at inquiries@swooshenglish.com and we'll be sure to help you out a bit further. Shadha has said, in speaking, if you run out of time and cannot complete the points, does it affect our evaluation? It could, Shadcat. So you're not actually penalized if the role play ends. Not like the role play wasn't finished, you lose 25% of your marks. That's not how it works. But the role play could end if you haven't managed your time appropriately. And what can happen is you might not cover every bullet point effectively. And every bullet point has been crafted to give you a chance to demonstrate the variety of skills to satisfy the criteria. So for example, if you don't get through the entire role play and you missed the last bullet point, you might not have had a good chance to demonstrate gathering information or building rapport, for example. So the rule of thumb is do your best to get that role play done in 5 minutes. There's no reason why you can't complete the role play in 5 minutes. With the awareness of your time management and appropriate feedback and speaking, you can do it within 5 minutes. Trust me. So that's my answer to that and my rule of thumb for that. Okay, I'm going to just take one more question, guys. Some great questions coming in here as a whole. Not actually really a question. I've got a statement here. Michael has said, I've seen great improvement in my speaking since I joined Swoosh English. Thank you, Michael, for your lovely little testimonial to us, I suppose. And I'm glad that you're actually enjoying your course. So thank you, Michael. May you continue to improve your speaking. May you pass your exam when you are ready to take it. And I'm going to just show one more comment. It's really nice. But Monty just said, one of the best teachers I've seen. Thank you, Monty. Thank you. Hopefully you'll be one of the best students that I have seen as well, if you're with us at Swoosh or you're not. So good luck with your OET preparation. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for your comments and thank you so much for your questions today. As I said, guys, give us an email. It's on the screen. Inquiries@swooshenglish.com. Send us an email if you have any more questions that you want to ask or you're looking to avail of our special offer today, which is 20% off selected OET preparation courses. The link will be reappearing in the chat in a second. If you want to find that link and click it, it is appearing. Or you can scan the barcode on the screen using your QR code feature on your phone. If you don't have a QR code feature, I recommend that you get one. I use it pretty much every day. So download the QR app on your phone, scan this barcode here, and it will bring up the landing page for your course offers on your phone. Any of that fails, of course, we have our inquiries@swooshenglish.com email address somewhere down here. So make sure you send us an email by anything whatsoever, and our team are ready to answer your questions. And simultaneously, follow us on our Facebook and our YouTube. We've got a team who are ready to answer your questions on Facebook and YouTube. Twitter, not on Twitter, sorry, TikTok and LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. We've got presence over there. We're putting content up every day. Make sure you come and follow us to be entertained by us, hopefully, and also, to get some really good advice and tips on OET exam preparation, plus more. So guys, let's finish off the session today. First and foremost, finally, big thank you for everyone that has joined me today. And I wish everyone the best of luck with their OET preparation. If you're doing it this weekend, I hope the best for your success. If you're doing it in a couple of weeks' time, a month's time, a few months' time, or you haven't booked it yet, best of luck. But I want everyone to ensure that you are preparing for this exam and only booking it when you are ready. So good luck, guys. Hope everything goes really well for you. I'm Scott from Swoosh English. Pleasure having you here today. Take care, and I hope to see more of you again soon. Bye-bye.